Hello and welcome to another video from the only channel you need to not only survive the current apocalypse, but actually enjoy. Today's video is going to be about food math, because without a clear understanding of real food math, you can't have a real understanding about food. And not understanding about food in a survival situation can cost you your life. Now, I'm going to give you a little illustration. I want you to keep this illustration in your head throughout the remainder of this video, because it teaches a very important point that you need to remember. If you're the kind of guy that has a bear trap and a gun capable of killing a bear, you know how to butcher bears, you know how to preserve bears, you know how to cook bears, and you like eating bears, well, a bear can be food for you. But what happens if you're out in the woods setting up all them gadgets and a bear comes out and eats you? You don't need a mathematician to tell you who was the food. Any casual observer watching a bear run through the woods with your left leg hanging out of his mouth is going to know that you were the food. That brings up a very important philosophy of mine. If you eat it, it's food. But if you feed it, you're food. Now, what I'm telling you this for is because we live in a world of smoke and mirrors, a fantasy world where anybody can walk into a Walmart near about anywhere with a piece of paper with a picture of some kind of megalomaniac surrounded by numbers and walk out with enough calories to get him through the day. That's false math, because it's based on something that doesn't really exist: money. And when money is finally found out for what it is, and you can no longer go into a Walmart and get your groceries, you're going to have to change your entire way of thinking about food math. Right now, in the United States, it takes 15 calories of energy input to acquire 1 calorie of food input. That's right, the unit of measure of energy is a calorie. We use the same unit of measure for the energy that we get out of our food as we use for the energy to do anything else. Operate your motor vehicle, turn on a light, whatever. Right now, fossil fuels such as coal, petroleum, and natural gas are used in the food industry to produce things at a considerable loss. But that's okay, because fossil fuel is cheap and food is expensive. Now, 15 calories that are used to produce the 1 calorie, of that, 5 of it is in transportation and marketing. That's instantly going to go away, but you still got a 10 calorie input to get 1 calorie out. In a real life situation, that will kill you. You cannot consistently put 10 calories into producing 1 calorie of food over a period of time without dying. Remember what I said earlier. If it feeds you, it's food. If you feed it, you're food. And in fact, if you are putting even so much as 2 calories of energy into every 1 calorie of tomatoes you produce, you are feeding that tomato the same way that that man at the beginning of this video fed that bear. We use petroleum-based products for herbicides. We use petroleum-based products for insecticides. We use natural gas-based products for fertilizer. And if you've even got in your head that you're going to get rid of all of that, you still got to think about the energy you're going to spend planting and harvesting, along with any energy that you have to use acquiring natural fertilizers and spreading them, or even watering your plants. You know, I preach all the time about peak oil. And half my people that watch these videos agree with me wholeheartedly. The other half says I'm stupid. But whether you believe in peak oil or not, if you're on my channel, chances are you believe in some kind of an SHTF, WROL, or TO-TWAWKI. Do you really believe they're going to continue to have farm supply houses and electrical current coming to your house in one of them situations? So whether or not you believe in peak oil, you have got to at least understand the math behind feeding and growing and harvesting things that you're going to eat. The best way to guarantee that your math is going to work is to get to the point where you have 0 input. 0 input in for every 1 calorie out works. It is a fact that every empire that has ever existed started out as hunter-gatherers, even our own. If you go back far enough, you'll find out there was a time when we did not have agriculture. Hunter-gatherers worked. Agriculture was slowly incorporated into our food system. At first, we may have only had 1% of our calories from agriculture, while 99% was still hunter-gathering. But over time, we eventually get to the point where 100% of our calories comes from agriculture. Every empire, every culture that has ever collapsed at about the same time their calorie input or calorie output became all agriculture. It's just a fact. You can go back and analyze each one and say, oh no, the Medes conquered Babylon because of this, or oh, if General Alexander had gone in it. Ain't none of that important. You just look at every empire that has ever existed, and once the empire completely converts to agriculture, the gig is up and the clock is ticking. And that's where we are today. And there's no point of getting rid of this empire and then going off and trying to start our own little agriculture empire. Permaculture is the only thing that has ever worked. It's the only thing that will work unless you feel like working yourself to death. You need to start thinking about that. Permaculture. You ain't got to crunch the numbers, but you got to have a basic understanding of food math if you want to survive. And if you don't want to survive, don't listen to me.